Hello everyone, it's Susie, Crypto Granny here. The date is the 30th of September 2021 and the time in the Netherlands, Amsterdam time, is 16:13 p.m. Now it's the end of the quarter today and the end of the month. And the end of the quarter is always big for fund managers with their revals and all that sort of thing in terms of their funds and their distributions and inflows. So it's going to be interesting to see how these financial markets and cryptocurrency markets particularly finish on the day. We did see Bitcoin rally last night. Just to give you a 24-hour clock on Bitcoin, basically the open was 42317, the high was 43084, and Bitcoin at the moment is 43029. The low was 40939. The previous low was 40809, and obviously we've got a close here at 43029 at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this just at the end of today, to see where it shapes up and what happens tomorrow particularly. So what I'll do now, people, is I'll talk about the cryptocurrency markets, go through the stats and that, go through the news and everything else, and then we'll talk about the fiat markets. Also what I'll cover in the cryptocurrency news, obviously things about Ripple and Compound. There was another DeFi hack, social media. Also, we'll talk about funding, the SME futures, Chicago Mutual Board of Exchange, the futures. We'll also talk about the call options, what's happening, what's being sold in terms of derivatives, volatility, 10-day volatility, the funding on the exchanges, how much liquidity do they have, just 3-day, 7-day, and 30-day stats, funding, and also we'll look at my trading models and my technicals. And then we'll talk about the fiat market, what government's doing, the equity market, FX, interest rates, commodity, and last and not least, COVID. Okay, so let's just have a look at live coin watch. Now, market cap today is 1.940 trill. We got it to a high of around 2.4 trill at the market peak just recently, and it's down, and a low was 1.92 trill, and we're currently at 1.940 trill. Volume is 65.818 bill, which is quite good. Liquidity is at 4.663. Still lower than normal, but it's reasonable. And Bitcoin dominance is pretty static at 41.77%. Look at a Mazario, and according to Mazario, the 24-hour volume for Tether, 17 bill. Bitcoin, 5.49 bill. Ethereum, 5.31 bill. Solana, 1.36 bill. USDC coin, 1.34 bill. Then we've got ADA, 988 mil. AVEX is up there at 964 mil. They're going on to Coinbase Project. And what else we got there? XRP at 784 mil. So let's just talk about, last night there was liquidations overall of 223.6 mil, quite a lot. The traders have been absolutely slaughtered this month. It's been a very, very difficult month, I have to say. And, it could be, we could see a bit more argy-bargy by the end of the day as well. Just let's talk about the news. El Salvador is using volcanic energy to mine Bitcoin, which is a great story, rather than electricity. Ripple has announced a creative fund worth $250 million to support non-fungible projects on the XRP ledger. The firm said it would provide NFT artists and marketplaces with creative and financial and technical companies, and it also partnered with a creative agency in the US, NFT marketplaces, Mint NFT and Mintable, in which Ripple is also an investor, along with Mark Cuban and others. And this makes Ripple XRP Ledger a challenger to Ethereum as well, okay? Don't forget, you've got all those challenges out there to Ethereum, and Ripple is now one of the challenges to Ethereum as well. Mintable raised $13 million in funding in July. It's a platform in Singapore and for minting and trading NFTs, and Ripple owns part of this investment as well, okay? If we look at Gary Gensler was out there last night, the SEC chairman, talking about a warning on crypto lending products. I mean, fair income, there's no regulation here, as you know. They're just jaw-burning constantly about this sort of stuff, the SEC. It gets very monotonous and very tiring. The Bank of England plans to launch a CBDC, and they've enlisted the help of Google, PayPal, and Amazon. Also, New Zealand is looking to do potentially a CBDC, and they've got a tender out there for people to help them by the 3rd or 4th of December, which is interesting. And effectively what people do is they're issuing their own currency through CBDCs, okay? And you're seeing this in Europe as well, which means a lot of the European countries are issuing their own currency like Ukraine, and they're coming out of the euro, which just makes it more interesting. So it's almost like the old FX days where you had the Deutschmark and all this sort of thing, which is going to make markets very, very interesting indeed. More products to trade as such. Also, Nigeria's e-Naira, which is their currency, their website goes live, okay? So that's interesting. Yield App has announced a partnership and sponsorship of West Ham United, a big soccer club. You're seeing this a lot with other, other crypto products and that sort of thing, sponsoring soccer clubs to get their name out there to build up their client base and their business, and that's understandable. It's all about clients, business, utility to make money. You need people on the network to use the network to make money, okay? Tezos and Amplifix have partnered, and it's something to do with NFT Music Gallery, something to do with Detroit. It's an NFT music platform built on Tezos. As I said, AVEX is going to be listed on Coinbase Pro. Maybe there's a Coinbase effect as usual. Chainlink have got another client, Deep Space, which is using Chainlink's VRF, which is their variable randomness function, to add stats into this game ships NFT. Now, Ethereum obviously has been a bit of a disappointment lately, even with their EIP, new protocol 1559. Their gas fees are still going higher and higher, okay? And you probably heard about that being from Bitfinex, where effectively someone paid $22.5 million in Ethereum gas fees, right? And this was returned to Bitfinex, luckily. But it makes you question the system of Ethereum, right? If someone can accidentally send $22.5 million, out in gas fees, doesn't the system of Ethereum have some sort of red flag on it or some sort of control to limit the amount of gas fees? I mean, you've got to question the system. Why doesn't it do that? I mean, I just find that incredulous that someone can actually pay $22 million in gas fees, and luckily they got it returned. I mean, it's just amazing. Apparently it was a $100,000 transaction. Just unbelievable. Now, if you look at Ethereum, I still don't like Ethereum. If you look at the chain activity on Ethereum, you go into their network, it's bearish, right? The activity is going down, right? Which is not good for the network, okay? The network growth is going down. I'm very bearish Ethereum, right? And you know that. If I look at the weekly charts, the daily, the quarterly, everything's telling me Ethereum's going to go down. And again, I say this, JP Morgan came out with a valuation of Ethereum $1,500, and I'm a believer. Honestly, I really am, because there are so many platforms out there that are in direct competition with Ethereum, right? And I'd rather buy an XRP, at 94 cents than Ethereum at bloody, nearly $3,000. It is overpriced, no doubt about that, and it's losing clients hand over fist, okay? They're all going to Polygon, Tezos, AVAX, Solana, you name it, they're going to other smart contract platforms, and there's many of them out there, and even Bitcoin is talking about smart contract platforms, okay? Now, Polygon, and this is really interesting because I'm a stamp collector and I love collecting stamps, they've partnered with the Switzerland National Post Service to debut crypto stamps on Polygon. This is a digital collectible against physical stamps, and I think this is fascinating, and I'm going to be looking at this. Swiss Crypto Stamps launches late November. They're going to put up 175,000 stamps, which are digital, but there'll be physical stamps backing them, right? And this is a huge idea, and it's a great idea. There are so many stamp collectors in the world, and this is just really, really fascinating to me. Also on Polygon, DEFIT goes live on Polygon and QuickSwap, and apparently they're a fitness and health solution. Visa unveils level 2 interoperability platform for stablecoins. MasterCard are also doing the same thing. So Visa and MasterCard, clearly, and PayPal are going to become big players in crypto land. They all intend to set up crypto trading platforms and whatnot. Also, there's a big bug in another DeFi. We hear this constantly with DeFis. They are not audited. Their smart contracts are not audited. Their code is not audited. And apparently Compound Bug overpaid their users, something like $82 million, right? There was a bug in the smart contracts which weren't audited, and it left to an overpaying of liquidity mining rewards of 82 million users. I mean, that's just a joke, seriously. And how do they get that money back? Also, we're seeing bookings, betting and sport betting is engaging more with the crypto community. And on those betting sites now, you're basically seeing cryptocurrency everywhere, okay? OMG has been doing very well lately, and that was because of the release of their scalability solution, Bobber Network, which has seriously increased the activity of OMG. Now let's talk about Ripple, okay? Ripple hits back at the SEC, and so they should. Ripple called out the SEC for withholding privileged documents. SEC submitted non-relevant documents to Ripple, and obviously Ripple is saying there's no clarity by the SEC in terms of the regulations and in terms of how they decide Ethereum and Bitcoin being non-securities and XRP being securities. I mean, this whole thing is becoming incredibly tiring. People, Fair income, it's just exhausting. It must be exhausting for Ripple, because I'm exhausted reading about this, Fair income. So to establish Ripple's recklessness, and this is what the SEC is saying, you were reckless, Ripple, for issuing XRP when it's supposed to be a security, which they didn't come out and say that. Ripple's come back and said, well, if you're trying to make us look like we're reckless in plain speak for selling XRP, then you got to prove that that was the case, that we were looking reckless between 2013 and 2020, because there was nothing that you came out with to tell us that we were issuing a security, right? So you need to prove to us, Mr. SEC or Mrs. SEC, how are we reckless, because you didn't tell us anything, right? And this is the whole bloody problem with the SEC. They're not clear about their regulation and lack of regulation. It's the same with Brian Armstrong from Coinbase. He wanted to have a meeting with them to work out why he couldn't create a lending product. And now you've got Gary Gensler, the chair of the SEC, saying, oh, I'm going after lending products when there's no regulation, Fair income. And then they just said, look, if you go out with that, if you're going to do that lending product, we're going to sue you, Coinbase. But they didn't even allow Brian Armstrong to have a meeting with them. This is just a joke. I mean, how can these regulators sit on top of the tree and dictate about financial markets and cryptocurrency markets and not even be responsive to a meeting? I mean, these people think that we work for them. It's the other way around. We pay them to work for us. We pay taxes, right? And if you pay taxes, you know, these people that work in governments work for us. This is just balderdash and garbology, Fair income garbology, right? So, you know, Ripple said, you know, you've got to show us that we're reckless because we were not aware that XRP was a security from 2013 to 2020. Also, your documents, you know, you're saying they're privileged, but these are important documents. So, you know, they're not privileged. You create these documents, Mr. SEC or Mrs. SEC, in the function of your job, right? This is just plain speak, people, because when you read this stuff, it's very convoluted sometimes. It's all in legal speak, so I'm just bringing it down so that we can all understand this. So, you know, and that's fair enough, right? The SEC is working and they're doing their job and they're creating documents. These are not privileged documents. You know, we want to see the facts. How did you decide that Ethereum was a non-security and Bitcoin was, and yet XRP is, right? What is there, a vested interest? And we already know there was a vested interest. You know, Hinman and the other guy were working for some legal firm that was supporting Ethereum. You know, that's insider trading and a conflict of interest, right? It's just that clear. So, you know, they didn't provide, the SEC, even after, you know, the judge, Sarah Netburn, said provide these friggin' documents, they still didn't provide them because they say they have privilege. Yes, we sit on top of the tree and no, you work for us, not the other way around. Well, I've got news for you, Mr. and Mrs. SEC. You know, we pay the tax, or the American people pay the tax, right? You work for them, not the other way around. This is just complete arrogance and ignorance, right? Complete arrogance and ignorance. That's all I can say, right? So then Ripple said, you need to make us aware of the process, Mr. and Mrs. SEC, to how you came up with those decisions. None of your documents are privileged in the course of your staff doing their job That's what they get paid for. The taxpayers paying that money to them, right? So I think, honestly, Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson should go for the jugular with the SEC, right? And not settle and just go for the jugular, even if it has to go to the High Court. And it might go to the High Court, people, for sure. Now, there was big transfers last night, and I've seen a lot of big transfers to and fro from the exchanges. But one that really stood out was XRP, 158 million. And 100 million was sent to China, which is very interesting, even though China has, supposedly, there's laws there, you can't accept XRP or anything else, right? So this is very interesting that China's still receiving XRP when, crypto trading and exchanges are all being closed down and everything else. And you can't even buy mining equipment in China, and they're closing down all the internet sites for cryptocurrency. Another thing too, a very large Bitcoin millionaire transferred 206 million worth of Bitcoin, or 5,000 Bitcoin from his Zappo wallet, I think it was, XAPO, to Binance Exchange on the 29th, yesterday. Now, does that mean the guy is going to sell or what, or the girl? They're looking to sell? I don't know, but I am seeing a lot of exchange balances coming into the exchanges, right? And I'm just wondering whether they're looking to sell their balances because they're shifting from wallets to the exchange. Also, there was another 500 Bitcoin to go to Coinbase as well, okay? So watch this space. Now, if we talk about the SME market, the futures markets on Bitcoin went up anything from 2% to about 6%. If we look at the overall curve from spot to March of next year, it's actually in backwardation, which is very interesting. If we look at the curve from the futures curve from spot price through to through to February of next year, it's actually in contango. So it's very interesting what the market's thinking here. Also, there's still outstanding 117 million call options on Bitcoin, which are long positions. If we look at Ethereum, we've got a similar scenario, okay? We've got basically out to February contango in the futures curve, and then out to March we have basically backwardation, which is very interesting indeed. I'm just wondering why there's backwardation in that March 2022 contract. Also, Ethereum is still long 275 million. The investors of Ethereum are still long 275 million of Ethereum, which is a big percentage. And also, a lot of that stuff comes off today, and also in December. Okay. So it's going to be very interesting to see the way Ethereum actually trades from here. If we look at the volatility rates for crypto, they're still extremely extended, okay, and high. Risk is high, okay. So if you look at Bitcoin on a 10-day, it's at 82, Ethereum's at 120 going up, ADA 121, XRP 130, Binance 114 going up, Chile's 132, Crow 107, AVEX 162, and Tezos 203. So those are going up, right? We look at the funding levels on the exchange at 100, Binance is 76, Coin 64, FTX 71, Hubi 57, Crypto.com 59, OKEx 48, Qcoin 50, Binance USD 32. We look at 3 days trading. What are they doing? They're buying Atom, they're selling Uniswap, they're buying Dragon, they're selling Ethereum, EOS, and Hubi token. If we look at 7 days trading, they're mainly buying Atom. 30 days trading, they're buying Atom, selling Link, selling BAL, and buying Tezos. If we look at the funding rates, and this tells us what's going on in markets, some of the large negative funding rates are OP, minus 11.1136%. That's pretty large. Flow, minus 17.68. That's another very large one. Orbs, minus 35.92%. Oxy, minus 12.08. SRN, minus 13.28. Coty, minus 0.066. Media, minus 2.088. Finance is like minus 5.5. Leo, which is on Bitfinex, is minus 13.44. Interesting, very interesting. ETC, minus 8.0819. Okay, so some of these funding rates are very high and negative, which is not great. If I go to my trading models, I've still got bearish, 84% bearish. Okay, Some of my charts are slightly better, but overall still bearish. I really want to see what the market looks like tomorrow, because today is always a weird day because it's the end of the month and the end of the quarter, okay? My price action for some of my charts is getting very close to the 200-day moving average over 4 hour, but my problem is that volatility is extremely elevated still, and we do have risks in the fiat market, still the Evergrande situation, second largest property developer in China, as you know. Also, rates are increasing. We saw that the Czech central bank increased their rates by 75 basis points last night, which is a big shift. The market was expecting 50 basis points. That's a lot because they cited more inflation, right? Lots of inflation. We see Colombia increasing rates. We see interest rate curves everywhere going higher. The US 10-year bond rate is still at 1.53, steepening the curve and going higher. That's why the US dollar is going up. It's at 111.95 at the moment because interest rates are moving very quickly in the US. Also, the UK 10-year bond rate went over 1% last night. It's at 1.02, and the Aussie bond rate 10-year is 1.5 roughly, okay? Coupled with that, we've got natural gas going through the roof. We have an energy crisis in Europe, the US, and the UK.
I'm very sorry cutting that off, but if you'd like to hear the whole podcast and get all my information on Patreon and reviews and all sorts of things, please join my Patreon. It's Crypto Granny on Patreon. You can see what's available there, and it would be very, very much appreciated. Thank you.